also, in the middle of all this, I've been trying to get some health insurance. I believe I'm going to try to explain this summarize this for the folks outside the United States that don't have any idea what we're talking about because they don't have to go through this. And even some intelligent people on both sides of the pond are misapprehended about each other's healthcare system. So let's clear some things up. I am a self-employed person. That means that I have to purchase my own health insurance. Now, that would seem to be a fairly easy. It's something everybody has to have. You would think it'd be fairly easy to do this. Now, if you're outside the United States, you go, well, wait a minute. I thought y'all got Obamacare. Well, what most people maybe in the United Kingdom think of as Obamacare. Obamacare actually helps poor people. It helps subsidize them to get insurance that they formerly couldn't afford. But to qualify for that, you have to make less than a certain amount of money. I'm not going to quote figures because it's not exact, but you know where I'm going with this, Brian. The basic concept is if you make under a certain amount of money, the government kindly, thanks to Obamacare, will help you purchase your health care. Now, they couldn't do it right from the beginning because then it wouldn't be the black guys trying to take away our guns. It'd be the black guys trying to the government is trying to run our health care. This is the story that they tell. And a panel will decide whether they pull the plug on grandma and you'll have no say in who your doctor is. And all this scare shit because the Republicans in this country are subsidized by the large pharmaceutical companies and the big insurance companies. And they prey on the rubes and the hillbillies that vote for them by basically saying, well, it's a hallmark of good old American ingenuity that you should pay for your health care and yours only and not have to subsidize other people with your taxes. So what we do is we pay taxes. More on that later, but we pay taxes and we get absolutely nothing in the way of health care unless we're 65, in which case we get Medicare. Now, the Democrats would love to see Medicare for all, which is what we ought to have if we were a sane, rational, reasonable country, because that's what everybody else in the civilized world has, and they like it quite fine. But the Republicans tell the rubes and the hillbillies, no, then you'll have death panels and also you'll be paying for all the poor people. And so you just pay us your taxes, but you ain't going to get anything for it. But that way we don't fuck with your health care. You just don't have any. You see why it's a conundrum over here in this country, folks. So anyway, if you have a job that provides insurance, then you get it that way. But if you're self-employed, such as I am, you have to buy your own. And twice now in the last 5 or 6 years, the insurance company that I was using has canceled my plan, not mine specifically, but the plan that I had. So everybody who was on that plan has to go and find new insurance. And they want to try to sell you some shit that they've got that's more expensive than what you were paying. I was up for me and Stacy. I was paying almost $1,000 a month. But of course, then you've got a big deductible. And then that doesn't cover your prescription medicine, which we get from Canada because it's cheaper there, get it through the mail. And it also doesn't cover, certain things. And you have an office copay when you go to the doctor and everything. Now, the people in England and the entire UK and probably Australia and Canada are all going, what the fuck are you raving about? This is the way it works here in this country because of the Republicans and their tomfoolery and shenanigans. And Bernie Sanders, who endorsed Medicare for all, because that's what we should be getting for our tax money, is a government-funded health program so people don't go bankrupt when they break their fucking leg. But that didn't fly because of the payoffs to the Republicans and the big companies. So anyway, we try to call. I defy anybody in the United States of America get on the healthcare websites for these insurance companies and navigate it and tell me what the fuck you're purchasing, because it's impossible. And if you try to call them on the phone, which we did, well, they're not open on Sunday when a lot of people would have a chance to spend a half an hour or more on the phone. But they say they'll schedule you a call back. If you call on Monday, they'll call you back Tuesday between 5 and 7 p.m. to allow you to give them your $1,000 or more a month so that you won't go bankrupt in the event that you have a whooping belch. And we only have another 2 weeks because you can only do this during a 6-week period every year. or elsewise you have to go completely without insurance for a full year and go bankrupt if you get a case of crotch rot. So we only have a couple of weeks left because we've been in the middle of all this other chaos that we've been involved with, and we thought it would be easy to purchase new insurance since there's a major insurance company located in Louisville, Kentucky called Humana, but now they're not doing anything except Medicare. So you got to be over 65. And then we look around with the internet and we call an insurance agent that's listed that helps you buy all forms of insurance, life insurance and car insurance and et cetera. And it says something about health insurance, but they say, no, you got to be over 65 and on Medicare. Then we'll help you. I said, what about if you're 50 something and you're just an old white guy that wants some fucking insurance and wants to pay for it? They say, oh, we can't help you. We don't do that. So you got to either call these people on the phone or go back to the internet and read shit that you don't understand. And you have a deadline to give these people your money, or elsewise you'll be without it and you'll lose even more money. Have I, Brian, to your knowledge, about summed up the state of healthcare in the United States of America? And the only reason we have Medicare, where after you're 65, they actually take care of most of this stuff, not all of it, and they're trying to restrict that, the Republicans are. But we have that because the Democratic administration in the 60s, that after President Kennedy passed away and Johnson had the carte blanche to pass the Civil Rights Act and Medicare and Social Security and et cetera, or elsewise we'd all be fucked until we were dead. Have I about summed that up correctly to your knowledge?
Yes. You summed up the sorry state of our healthcare system.
And there are still people in this fucking country that, the Republicans have got the right idea. We need to cut these Social Security. And they want to cut everything that we've already got. And most of it we don't have. But they just formed tax reform where it's the biggest redistribution of wealth in the United States of America's history, where the top 1% will get $1 trillion. The huge corporations will get major tax cuts, and the middle class will see a nickel 95 or perhaps even pay more in taxes. And they have sold it to the rubes and the hillbillies as a great Christmas present to the middle class. And I was just watching a very interesting conversation that just reiterates what everybody already knows. It trickled down, worked in the days of the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and et cetera, when it was all about the big oil barons and the big steel barons and the big railroad barons, and everybody worked for them and they paid everybody, and that's the way that everybody made a living. But since the Industrial Revolution and the dawn of the automobile, Henry Ford created the middle class, and our economy in the United States has been based on mass consumption and mass production. People make money by making a lot of shit that other people then buy in mass quantities. And that's the way the whole thing goes around. But when the middle class doesn't have any money, they don't buy a lot of shit. And the economy suffers. When the big corporations get a lot of money, what do they do with it? They fucking stick it back in their own pockets, or they invest in their company, or they pump up their stock rates to make them look like they're worth more on paper, and they pay less taxes. So they get more people to invest in them, and they still pay their workers the same thing, because the only thing that trickles down is the fucking sperm after they've shot on your face. So the middle class gets no benefit from that. But what the middle class does get a benefit from is if they make more money and they can buy more things, and that produces more things, and et cetera, because rich people already have everything they want. They just like more money. But the middle class people always need something. Ma needs a new refrigerator. We got an extra $600. Let's go buy that new refrigerator. That's the way it works. But the Republicans don't want the hillbillies and the rubes to know that, because that would upset their fucking plan. And let's face it, most of these fucking Republican supporters either already have enough money or ain't never going to have it anyway, because they're stupid enough to be supporting these people that are fucking them in the ass. So as far as the healthcare system, we did have, as a matter of fact, under Obamacare and under the Democratic administration, they set up a healthcare exchange for the state of Kentucky under our Democratic governor at the time that was held up as the model for all the insurance, health insurance exchanges that every state should have. And as soon as the Republican won the election, he dismantled it and fucking did away with it, because every Republican has been hopping on this shit to try to fuck it up since it was passed. And they've sabotaged it and they fucked with it. And then they scream that it's failing because they made it so. And then they try to repeal and replace it. And they can't even figure out what to do with it after 8 fucking years, because there is no better way unless you listen to Bernie Sanders. So fuck you, Mitch McConnell, you turtle-faced fuck. But anyway, and by the way, Susie at the post office, Brian, you know, she's sweet on you. I've mentioned this.
What?
Well, she likes your voice. I'm just saying. She was like a lot of people in the United States. She had heard, well, the places like in England and Canada where they have their health care, they have to wait forever to see a doctor and they don't like it. And it's not what they want. I said, no, that's just what they're telling you. Because I've been to the doctor in England. I got an appointment overnight. And they saw me right on time, and they cured me in 2 days. And it cost like $60. It cost a third of what it would have cost here with my insurance in this country with the medicine and everything. And they were polite to do it. And I've had people in Canada and people in England and people in wherever write me and say, oh, yes, my cancer operation, they paid for it. I was out $26 in hospital parking, or they saved my husband's life. Or we pay a little more in taxes, but it's worth it because we never have to worry about going bankrupt. If we get shot in a mass shooting, with the Las Vegas shooting incident, there was actually somebody on Twitter, when I mentioned I hope nobody goes broke from having to pay their medical bills, that actually said, oh, no, they won't pay anything. There's an emergency fund that these hospitals keep to do. No, there's not. Those people already, some of them set up GoFundMes. Those people, if they don't have insurance, they're on the fucking hook for it until the lawsuit against the MGM, right? But that's the way it is here. Don't get sick. Don't get hurt. Don't get shot. That's getting harder every day. Or you're fucked. Unless you happen to have a job that provides you with insurance. But even then, if you lose that job, you have a heck of a time fucking switching, especially if you don't get another job right away. Then you have to go through all the shit that I'm going through. There's endless pitfalls. But Susie at the post office and a lot of good people have been lied to and told that this is the best way. It's not. We're the only people in the world, the only civilized country in the world that does this. And it's fucking stupid.